My name is Patricia Lopez-Yanez. I am from Ecuador. I work at Emaar Development here in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. I studied architecture. I always wanted to be a mathematician, so I was in love with numbers. I studied engineering for the first 3 years, but then as I was always in love with design and art, I decided to choose a career that combined mathematics and arts, and that was architecture. And after architecture, I had a couple of seminars from lighting, and when I was doing my thesis of architecture, I chose the topic of performing arts center. And I remember that I saw one of Zaha Hadid's paintings, and it was a section of a theater showing lighting. So when I did my thesis presentation, I also did a similar painting by hand. And then when I was drawing the light beams, I realized how lighting could transform a space. After that, I was just curious about lighting. I was working as an architect, and then at some point I decided to learn German. And once I always liked German, so once I had like a good level of German, I said, okay, it's time to travel to Germany. And when I was researching what I could do in Germany, I found a master's study program, which is the one that I chose, and I studied masters in architectural lighting in Wismar. After that, I worked as a lighting designer in Germany for a couple of years, and then I came here to Dubai. So here in Dubai, I've worked for one lighting design company, and I worked with them for 9 years. And recently, over a year ago, I was offered a position as director at Emaar, and that's what I've been doing. In terms of my career, I have an architecture degree, a lighting design degree, and right now I'm studying postgraduate studies in management and entrepreneurship and leadership to be able to have more tools to lead designers in my position. At Emaar Development, my role is to have an overview of all of the projects. So it's quite an extensive portfolio. We have hospitality projects, we have residential projects, commercial projects. We do a lot of malls. We also have restaurants, for example. So my role is to have an overall look, to oversee the development, the conceptualization, the development, and the implementation. So for me, it's the opportunity of a lifetime, because I get to work with lighting designers, as I said, that I know from all my life. So I've worked with people that have taught me in school, people that have been my colleagues, and people that I just know from the lighting designer group for many, many years. So basically, my role is to make sure that Emaar's vision is implemented, and at the end of the design process, I take the project and I take it over, and I get the feedback from operators, from guests, from users. So I think that it's a very, very challenging role, because actually I am now at the other side, taking over projects and making them work. I do think that it is very important to have a lighting designer in every project. In the position that I'm in, I can see the difference between projects that have lighting designers and projects that do not have lighting designers. For some projects, sometimes there's no budget. For some projects, there's no time to appoint a lighting designer. But seeing the contrast, I realized the importance of having a lighting designer. So as you know, I think that we're in the middle of the architects and maybe the engineers, and we can speak their languages. So we are experts in light, but we see light from both points of view, from a design point of view and also from an engineering point of view. So I think that always a lighting designer is an added value to a project, because we can bring something different. We can make spaces come to life. We are in charge of how the project is seen at night. So I remember I recently had a chat with one of my colleagues from Egypt, and he was telling me that for him what's important during daytime is the landscape, during nighttime it's lighting, because lighting can actually make or break the space. So from the position that I'm in, I think that lighting should be simplified. It should be very intuitive. It should be easy to understand. So I have seen the contrast between my role as a pure designer, where I was thinking about realizing a concept and having it perfect, having the CRI where it needs to be, having the controls perfect. And now from the client's point of view, I think that lighting should develop into an element that's easier to handle, something intuitive that people can just understand. Because at the end, when people walk inside a mall or a hotel room, they just want to see. They want to see, they want to feel good. And I think that maybe overcomplicating lighting is not where we should be. I get really excited and happy when I see a new development, like for example, IoT, LOT, incorporating sensors in light fixtures. And I do think that we should all work together to make these systems not only be a beautiful theory, but also make them work and actually affect people's life in a positive way. I would like to work on energy saving, and I know that perhaps it's not the most glamorous project, but I think that that's where we should go. I think we should take care of, yes, keeping the light quality as needed, developing the light fixtures that can give very good quality light, can make people feel good. But overall, I think we should also focus on energy saving in making sustainable systems that can be used by communities and that can help the planet as well. Yes. So for example, just speaking honestly, what I think is that I have been in the world of lighting like maybe over 15 years, and there's this point where I look at it as a designer, but now as like a client and as end user, I think we should just go back to the basics and say people what they really want to do with light is see. So I just imagine, like for example, being able to provide a good lighting source for somebody in a small remote village in Ecuador or in India that just wants to see and have a nice time with their children without having a fluorescent tube 6,000 Kelvin, so an energy source that's simple, that's affordable, that makes people feel good, that allows children to do their homework, that allows people to gather around it at night. So yes. I have been, as I said, in the Middle East for 10 years, so I'm very lucky to have been part of very big projects, very interesting projects, and I really like the projects that have challenged me the most. So I have 3 in mind. I can speak to you briefly. The first one is the Seville driveway. So this was a project that I worked with my former company on, and this was a small project. It was a driveway leading to the palace of Her Highness here in Dubai. So what started as a very simple project, basically we were appointed for street lighting, ended up being so much more complex because there was a roundabout in the center of the driveway which had a beautiful Arabic pattern of flowers. So what I proposed as a concept was to light it somehow. So in my conceptual presentation to the client, I photoshopped a backlit road that had like these flowers that were backlit in glass. So at the end, it was very well accepted and it was approved. Then we had to make it work. And the challenge was that it had to withstand a fire truck and it had to be drive over. So it was, at the end, it was a very, very complex design process, engineering process, but we were able to do it with the help of a good engineering team, supplier, and of course, the company that I worked with and the backup of my colleagues. Then the Bulgari Hotel and Residences, which just opened a year and a half ago. So this is a very special project again because it was done with Metis lighting design from Italy. So it is a project that at the beginning I wasn't super happy for because I was not going to be the one doing the concept. It was actually already done by the Bulgari signature lighting designer. So our role in my former company was to actually take the concept and implement it and execute it. So it's a project that I learned so much of because it's a huge development. I learned from Metis who have so much experience in hospitality. So it was a very humbling experience because I wasn't the lighting designer, but I was helping another lighting designer, a colleague, to actually implement their design in a land that was very far away from what they know. So I could bring the expertise of knowing what works in the Middle East and being on site, implementing all of the different designs for the spaces. And yeah, at the end the result was very nice. It's a project that has won several awards, and it's a project that I'm really happy to say that was done by two different companies, also led by a woman in Italy, and yeah, by myself here. So that is the Bulgari Hotel and Resorts. And then lately, it's a Dubai Creek Harbor Master Plan. When I joined Emaar, one of the first solutions that I proposed was to bring a master plans to our developments. So as you know, in Dubai, we have huge developments, and sometimes they tend to go out of control because basically different lighting designers are appointed for different plots. So that is something that I was given the challenge for. Like, I needed to find a solution for many towers in a district that were doing different things. So the idea that I proposed was to bring over an expert in master planning. So we decided to appoint a German firm, and we developed the Dubai Creek Harbor Master Plan, which is a very simple project, very nice, very conceptually very nice, but also very practical. So it's a document that gives high-level guidelines that can be understood even by the most sophisticated lighting designer, but also for smaller projects where there's no budget for a lighting designer. So it gives high-level guidelines that allow to control the lighting design image, but also to give the necessary flexibility to designers. So it's been a very challenging project. There were a lot of people in my company involved. We involved the architect who stated their opinion in terms of lighting, marketing, of course, development. At the end, we came up with a brochure that was very simple, very detailed, and I'm very happy to say that we are now implementing it in the first project. So, yes. I stopped seeing challenges as problems, and now I see them as opportunities. But yes, from my side, I can say that my career has been not easy. It's been very challenging. So since the moment that I decided to leave Ecuador, which was a very sheltered country, and then go to my master's in Germany, it's been very challenging in my career. For example, first of all, to learn how to deal with different cultures. And just to be brave enough to say that even though I am not from a very big country, I do have all of this knowledge that I can implement here, and I'm always happy and open to learn. So I think that, yeah, there have been many challenges at the beginning of my career, and then in the development of my career, my challenge has been to take new challenges, not to be afraid to say no. So I remember when I just joined the firm here in Dubai, I was very happy to just stay in the office, do sketches, which is what I liked, and I even proposed that to my boss, and I told him I am happy to do concept for all the projects, but I don't want to go to meetings or meet clients. I'm happy just to stay at the office, but of course he didn't listen to me. So I think that's one of the opportunities that I've had, like people that have believed in me. And for example, my former boss, he pushed me and motivated me to move to schematic and to detail and to actually start meeting clients and to start going to meetings. And it's something that was difficult for me, but at the end I realized that sometimes when I assumed that everybody knew more than I, sometimes I was not right, and I started asking questions. I started saying what I thought even though I was wrong, and it's something that I think that I had to learn, to just put myself out there, be brave, and take the opportunities. And something that made a big change in my life was to start asking for things. So I was taught to just work hard and to just expect for people to notice and offer me a raise and offer me opportunities. That happened sometimes, but it didn't happen most of the times. So I remember I also got an advice from a mentor that said that I need to start asking for things, and I did. So I started asking for bigger projects. I started asking for raises, for new positions, and sometimes I got no's, and sometimes I got yes. But I think that's what's helping my career, being brave enough to put myself out there, to ask and to get to accept new challenges, which challenges have come from me from a technical perspective. Sometimes when I get a challenging project technically that I don't know how to solve, and also challenges now, which is more about managing people, about knowing how to lead people, which is something that at this phase of my career, having the technical, let's say, more or less under control, I'm very happy to take. So now my role is more of to learn how to manage people, how to manage firms, how to lead them well. The first person that comes to my mind, of course, is my mom, because she was a working mom. She had 3 children, and she was in charge of everything at home, and she was always a very successful professional. So she had to be very strong in the office, and when we were at home, she had everything for us. So for me, that's the first role model and the first person that I look up to, my mom. Then the second person that I look up to, I would say, is my former colleague, Birgit Bierbaum, who was the first manager, I would say, or senior that I had here in Dubai. And I remember that what I learned from her was that you could be very strict at work, you could be very precise, very technical, but at the same time be very nice to your colleagues. So I think she was a perfect balance. I still look up to her. I still remember her work, her sketches, her preciseness and perfection. I know she won't agree with me. She will make fun of this, but she has been an inspiration. I didn't work with her for a long time, maybe 2 years, but we've kept in touch. And every time that I think of a woman in lighting or somebody that has inspired me, it's been her. Yes. Light inspires me every day, I think. Like, I'm so lucky to live here in Dubai. So every morning when I open my curtains, I have this bright sun coming in the room, and I can see how the space is transformed from nighttime to daytime when I open my curtains. So, of course, since I open my eyes, I'm inspired. And then when I go to my places of work from my different projects, I can see what a difference light makes. So it's the best feeling when I see the development of a site, when it's in construction, and then at the end when the lights are starting to be installed, and then at the end set up. I always get inspired by the power that light has to transform spaces, to affect people's mood, to make projects successful. So yeah, for me, light is very powerful. I'm an architect and engineer and then lighting designer in the Middle East. I've always been used to, and for me it's normal, that I am the only woman in the meeting room. I'm the only woman on site. So for me, that has become normal. But I do wonder, like, for example, in some events, in some associations, and I have flagged it out, that there are no women in higher positions. I am not really sure of what the reason why this is. I know that we have to accept that it's a structure of society that has been more male dominated in some areas. But I also would encourage women to take the chance to put themselves out there, because I do think, and I can speak only for myself, I do know that when I go to a meeting, because I'm the only woman, I need to be more prepared. I feel the responsibility of showing something, and I don't know where that comes from, but I do feel the responsibility of of showing everybody that I know every point in the agenda, that I have everything ready. Yes, you do have to do an extra effort to maybe put yourself out there. As I said before, ask for more chances. So even though for me it's helped that to accept that I'm not perfect, that I don't know certain subjects to 100%, and it is still okay to go and speak about it. So I remember when I was given my first chance to speak in the PLDC, it was about a topic that I didn't really believe in, and I was still given a chance, and it was still okay. And after that opportunity that Joachim and Alison gave me, many doors opened for me. I would advise women to take more opportunities, to not be afraid, even though you don't know a subject at 100%. It is okay to go and speak about it, because there might be other people in your position who are expecting to be perfect to take that chance. So as I was given an advice by my former boss that I should ask for what I wanted, I think all women should be more confident to ask for what we want. And if we see that we're being underrepresented, actually flag it out, because sometimes people might not notice, and people might just be acting out of a structure that has been there for years. So I would just say, don't be afraid to speak.